What if I told you that the secret to building a magical harvest garden is already lying around your home in old bricks and worn-out tires? Most people throw them away, but today you'll see how they can become the foundation of a backyard paradise. Welcome to Backyard Fortune, where creativity turns trash into beauty. This video is filled with ideas and timestamps so you can explore what inspires you most. And if you have questions, the comment section is always open. Remember, this is more than just a video, it's a piece of my heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe truly keeps this dream alive for my family. Thank you for seeing me. One, umbrella blossom trellis. Have you ever thought an old umbrella could find a second life in your garden? What once shielded us from rain can now stand proudly in the sunlight, bringing both beauty and function to a small corner of the earth. Along a wooden fence, faded umbrellas painted in soft pastels rest like cheerful guardians of the vegetables below. Their gentle colors, lavender, mint, pale yellow, add playfulness to a scene where tomatoes ripen naturally, lettuces spread fresh and green, and lavender brushes the breeze with its fragrance. Here, the umbrellas do not grow plants themselves. They simply brighten the fence and give the garden its whimsical personality. Walk a little further and you might find another twist. Clear umbrellas placed upside down, supporting climbing grapevines. Heavy clusters of purple grapes hang beneath their canopy, roses bloom close by, and the path itself is scented with summer warmth. The umbrellas here act almost like trellises, holding vines in place and catching the golden afternoon light, turning the vineyard corner into a scene straight out of a storybook. In another spot, brightly painted umbrellas, sky blue, coral pink, sunflower yellow, stand tall above zucchini blossoms and passionfruit vines. The plants climb naturally toward the shade, while butterflies drift lazily between the blooms. It is not complicated. A sturdy stick, an old umbrella, and a bit of imagination are all it takes. Suddenly the garden becomes a place of wonder, where recycled scraps breathe new life and color. The beauty of this idea lies in its simplicity. Old umbrellas are often left broken or forgotten, yet in the garden they can protect tender vines, offer support for climbing plants, or simply make a plain fence look alive with joy. You do not need to follow strict rules. Try soft colors if you want calm, or bright ones if you wish to make the space sing. The important thing is that it feels like yours, a personal piece of creativity that also welcomes butterflies, bees, and birds to visit. Sometimes the most magical gardens are not built from expensive designs, but from everyday things given a second chance. An umbrella may not seem like much, but in the right light, with vegetables growing strong and fruit hanging heavy, it becomes a symbol of playfulness and resilience. And perhaps that is the secret. Gardens remind us that life, like these umbrellas, can always be renewed in unexpected and beautiful ways. Two, denim pocket herb wall. Old jeans never truly lose their character. The faded blues, the worn seams, even the stitched patches, they carry stories of days gone by. And in the garden, those stories can bloom again, quite literally, when denim pockets are transformed into a vertical wall of life. Imagine a simple wooden fence, once plain and ordinary, now covered with rows of denim pockets, each one a tiny planter filled with fresh green herbs. Basil spills over with fragrance, thyme stands tall with delicate leaves, and oregano stretches out with quiet confidence. Sunlight touches the fabric, warming the soil tucked neatly inside, and bees hover gently over lavender blossoms tucked here and there. It feels cozy, rustic, and full of the quiet charm of a European countryside kitchen garden. Step closer and you'll notice how easy it really is. Stitch together old denim panels like a quilt, hang them against a fence or a wall, and fill each pocket with soil. Start small: mint for its refreshing scent, parsley for daily cooking, or a cherry tomato plant that drapes down in clusters of red jewels. The contrast of the faded blue fabric with the vibrant greens and reds of the plants makes the wall look like art, yet it is as practical as it is beautiful. In some gardens, rows of denim pockets are lined from top to bottom, holding chilies that burn bright red, crisp lettuce leaves, and even little strawberries. Between them, flowers like marigolds and daisies add unexpected bursts of color. Birds find perches nearby, butterflies drift slowly through the morning air, and the entire wall hums with life. It is more than recycling. It is a gentle reminder that beauty often comes from the overlooked. What makes this idea special is not just its charm, but its simplicity. Jeans are strong, designed to endure years of wear, and that durability makes them perfect for holding soil and plants. You don't need a large space or expensive planters, just old fabric, a little creativity, and the desire to see something ordinary become extraordinary. Over time, the denim fades even more, blending into the garden as naturally as wood and stone, until it feels as though it has always belonged. And perhaps that is the magic of a denim pocket wall. It teaches us that even the most everyday materials can be reborn with purpose. With each pocket, a new herb, a flower, or a vegetable takes root, and suddenly your garden is not just a place of growth, but a patchwork of memory, color, and life. Three, rustic rope and burlap fence. There's something timeless about the strength of rope and the rough honesty of burlap. Together, they create fences that are not only practical but also deeply beautiful, reminding us of the old countryside traditions where nothing was wasted and everything had a purpose. Picture a simple fence, wooden posts driven into the soil, with sturdy ropes tied tightly between them. Instead of polished boards or expensive metal, sheets of burlap are hung loosely, their edges worn and sun-faded. Green beans twist their way up the ropes, cucumbers dangle gently in the breeze, and sunflowers tower above, turning their faces toward the golden light of late afternoon. Lavender tucked into small burlap pouches releases its fragrance, drawing bees and butterflies that bring the scene to life. It is humble, imperfect, yet absolutely enchanting. Look closer and you'll see how easy it is to build. Old coffee sacks or rice sacks can be cut, folded, and tied onto the rope with a simple knot. They don't need to be neat. In fact, their rough edges only add to the rustic charm. Fill them with a handful of soil, plant parsley, mint, or even a few marigolds, and suddenly your fence isn't just a boundary, it's a living wall that gives back. The plants at the base grow naturally, their vines finding support in the rope, while the burlap above provides shade and texture. In another corner, larger panels of burlap create natural sections, each one supporting different vegetables. Squash blossoms climb upward, broccoli leaves spread wide, and chili plants stand tall with their fiery red fruit. At the foot of the fence, marigolds and daisies bloom in bright contrast, while behind it apple and pear trees spread their branches, heavy with fruit. It feels like a painting brought into reality, where every detail, from the rough fibers of the burlap to the glint of dew on a chili pepper, tells a story of balance between usefulness and beauty. The beauty of this idea lies in its accessibility. Rope is easy to find, and old burlap sacks are often discarded after carrying grain, coffee, or potatoes. With just a little creativity, they can become part of a fence that not only marks a boundary but also nurtures growth, attracts pollinators, and creates a sense of peace in the garden. And as the seasons change, the burlap weathers and softens, blending even more into the rhythm of nature. Perhaps that is the quiet lesson of a rope and burlap fence. You don't need perfection to create something remarkable. With simple, recycled materials and a touch of imagination, you can turn an ordinary fence into a place where vegetables thrive, flowers bloom, and every glance reminds you of the gentle poetry hidden in everyday life. Four, Seashell Mosaic Garden Path. There is a kind of magic in walking along a path that seems to glow under your feet. Seashells, once tossed aside by the sea or forgotten in boxes, can be given new life when pressed into the earth, forming a walkway that is both functional and enchanting. In the first garden, seashells have been arranged into swirling mosaics, their pearly whites and sandy pinks shimmering in the light. Overhead, grapevines stretch across arches, heavy with fruit, while lavender and roses frame the edges with color and fragrance. It feels like entering another world, a place where every step carries you deeper into beauty, where butterflies drift lazily and the air itself seems to pause in admiration. Elsewhere, the idea takes a simpler, more practical form. A narrow garden path between rows of tomatoes, cabbages, and basil is decorated with seashell patterns pressed directly into the soil. Spirals, flowers, and circles appear like delicate lace against the dark earth. Birds hop along the way, pecking at seeds, and the freshness of herbs fills the air. It shows how easily this idea can be recreated, without elaborate tools, only imagination, patience, and a collection of shells gathered over time. And then, at dawn in a quiet orchard, a long path curves gently through the trees. Apples and pears hang heavy from their branches as the seashells laid into the walkway catch the morning dew, reflecting it like tiny stars. The path meanders like a river of light through the grass, guiding the eye and the heart forward. It is not only practical, keeping feet dry and steady, but poetic, a reminder that even the smallest things from nature can create something lasting and extraordinary. This is the gift of seashell mosaic paths. They are at once humble and elegant, whimsical and enduring. They require no perfection. The irregular edges and varied colors are what make them alive. With just a basket of shells, some soil, and a bit of time, you can transform a plain walkway into a story beneath your feet, one that whispers of the sea, the garden, and the quiet joy of turning the ordinary into the unforgettable. Five, Vintage DVD Light Fence. There's something magical about giving forgotten objects a second life. Old DVDs, once stacked in dusty boxes, can be turned into shimmering jewels for your garden. When tied carefully along a rustic fence, each disc catches the sunlight, scattering rainbow colors across the vegetables and flowers below. Suddenly, a simple wooden frame becomes a canvas for light, playful and full of charm. In one garden, grapevines climb lazily through the posts while peppers and lavender grow at the base. Birds perch along the fence as if admiring the way the discs glitter in the morning sun. It's a reminder that beauty doesn't always come from buying something new. It can be found in what we already have, transformed with a touch of creativity. Elsewhere, the DVDs are lined up neatly, their mirrored surfaces flashing like hundreds of tiny lanterns. Beneath them, cabbages and zucchini blossoms flourish, while climbing roses weave in and out of the shimmering wall. Butterflies hover between blossoms and light, making the space feel alive and almost dreamlike. The fence does more than just mark a boundary, it becomes part of the garden's personality, playful and unexpected. And in another corner, the discs glow in hues of violet, emerald, and gold, reflecting every shift of the afternoon sun. Pumpkin vines trail along the soil, basil and marigolds add fragrance and color, while grape clusters and guava trees thrive nearby. The fence seems to hum with life, its sparkle blending with the buzzing of bees and the rustling of leaves. It feels both practical and poetic, a barrier that protects the garden while also painting it with light. This is the wonder of a DVD light fence. It costs nothing but imagination, yet it gives back tenfold: charm, protection, and a daily spectacle of shifting colors. A perfect example of how even the most ordinary things can be reborn as extraordinary when placed in the right light. Six, suitcase planter nook. Sometimes, the most unexpected objects can become the heart of a garden. An old suitcase, once carried across miles and memories, can find a second life as a planter. When opened and filled with soil, its compartments suddenly hold more than belongings, they hold life itself. In one quiet nook, lettuce, basil, and clusters of cherry tomatoes rise from the suitcase, glowing in the morning sun. The bench it rests upon is surrounded by roses, lavender, and grapevines, so the whole scene feels like a garden whispering stories of both travel and home. Elsewhere, the idea expands into a playful display. Several vintage suitcases, stacked and arranged like treasure chests, overflow with herbs, flowers, and strawberries. Ivy twines around the handles, while pear and apple trees arch overhead. The air hums with bees and birds, their song mingling with the fragrance of basil and blooms. It is whimsical yet deeply practical. Every suitcase becomes a pocket of life, an intimate garden within a garden. And then there is the rustic charm of a suitcase nestled directly in the soil, brimming with chilies, cucumbers, and mint. Around it, marigolds and tulips blaze with color while rows of cabbage stretch out in neat order. As the evening sun turns golden, the suitcase glows too, no longer a forgotten object but a vessel of growth and abundance. It feels like art and function woven together, proof that creativity can turn even the most ordinary things into something magical. A suitcase planter nook is more than decoration. It's a reminder that gardening is not just about planting seeds, but also about planting imagination. Every old suitcase, no matter how worn, can be transformed into a vessel of beauty and nourishment, bringing food, fragrance, and wonder into the garden. Seven, bamboo and straw greenhouse. In the rolling countryside, where fields meet the horizon and the air feels lighter, a greenhouse built from bamboo and straw stands quietly, blending into the rhythm of the land. Its arched frame is tied with rope, the roof woven with thatch, and its walls left open enough for grapevines, beans, and cucumbers to climb their way toward the light. Inside, rows of lettuce, cabbage, and broccoli stretch neatly across the soil, glowing beneath the soft touch of the morning sun. The air is warm but gentle, filled with the hum of bees and the flutter of butterflies, as if the whole garden is alive in quiet celebration. What makes this idea special is how simple yet ingenious it is. With just bamboo poles, straw mats, and some twine, you can create a structure that shields tender plants from harsh weather while letting in the light and air they need. The bamboo gives strength and flexibility, while the straw roof acts as natural insulation, keeping the space cool in summer and warm in early spring. It's a design that doesn't fight against nature, but works with it, an echo of how gardens have been nurtured for centuries. Around the edges, clay pots brim with basil, mint, and rosemary, their fragrance mixing with the sweetness of nearby pear and apple trees. The greenhouse itself becomes more than just a shelter, it's a living canvas. Pumpkins and squash spill across the ground, their vines reaching up the bamboo beams. Passion fruit twines effortlessly through the frame, creating tiny green lanterns that will ripen into treasures of their own. And between all of this, rows of spinach and kale rise steadily, proof that even the simplest recycled structure can sustain abundance. This is the kind of DIY anyone can try, whether in a corner of a backyard or on a small farm plot. Start with a few poles and lash them together with rope. Lay a straw for shade, and leave the sides open so your plants can breathe. Soon, what begins as a humble frame will be transformed by nature itself, cucumbers dangling like ornaments, grapes cascading in clusters, marigolds brightening the edges, and bees ensuring every bloom finds its fruit. It's not just about building a greenhouse. It's about creating a partnership with the land, where recycled materials and living plants share the same space. In the end, you don't just step into a structure, you step into a sanctuary that grows food, flowers, and a deep sense of peace all at once. Eight, Iron Chain Garden Arch. Imagine walking into a garden where the entrance itself feels like a story waiting to be told. Here, an arch made from discarded iron chains rises tall, its rough texture softened by grapevines heavy with fruit and roses spilling their fragrance into the air. Morning sunlight glimmers between the metal links, turning something once forgotten into a gateway of beauty. Beneath it, rows of crisp lettuce and climbing cucumbers invite you further in, showing how even the humblest materials can be reborn into something magical. In another corner, the same idea takes on a gentler charm. Chains once used for machines now curve gracefully into an archway, embraced by ivy and passionfruit vines. Tulips bloom at its base, their colors glowing under the early dew, while nearby apple and pear trees add a sweetness to the air. With each step, the arch feels less like cold metal and more like a secret doorway, one that leads you into a cottage garden alive with marigolds, lavender, and the hum of bees. And sometimes, the chains themselves become storytellers. Old bicycle and motor chains are reimagined into an arch woven with pumpkin vines and roses. The contrast between steel and petals makes the scene feel almost dreamlike, practical strength married to the poetry of nature. Birds perch on top as butterflies circle below, and beyond the arch stretches a farm orchard glowing in golden light. It reminds us that gardens are not only places to grow food and flowers, but also places to reimagine what's possible, where even rusted chains can turn into gateways of abundance. Nine, Soda can and spoon totems. Imagine stepping into a garden where everyday objects, once forgotten, are reborn as guardians of creativity and joy. Here, soda cans and spoons, ordinary items that might otherwise end up in the trash, stand proudly as whimsical totems, shimmering under the morning sun. Their cheerful colors and playful designs don't just add character to the garden, they become beacons of inspiration, proving that beauty can be coaxed out of the simplest materials. The first scene captures a stack of bright cans painted with smiling faces, their tops adorned with spoons that catch and scatter light like petals of a metallic flower. Surrounded by cabbage leaves, chili peppers, and grapevines, the totem feels almost alive, as if it were a friendly spirit watching over the crops. It's a reminder that creativity doesn't require expensive materials, only a bit of imagination and a willingness to play. A little further along, the garden transforms into a pathway lined with soda can blossoms. Cut and shaped into circular petals, each can become a radiant flower with spoons forming reflective crowns. Their mirrored surfaces shimmer against the colors of marigolds and tomatoes, catching the last rays of sunlight. Birds and butterflies seem drawn to the sparkle, giving the whole space a sense of movement and magic. This simple DIY trick not only decorates your garden but also serves a practical role. The reflective surfaces help deter pests, protecting your plants naturally. And then, rising among the herbs and pumpkin vines, stand tall metallic towers crafted from cans stacked one atop another, their surfaces polished until they resemble lanterns. Tulips and daisies bloom at their feet, while bees hum lazily in the warm light. These totems feel both futuristic and rustic, merging the handmade charm of recycled craft with the elegance of functional garden art. Their presence turns the vegetable patch into a stage where light, color, and life play together. What makes these ideas so powerful is not only their beauty but their accessibility. With just a few empty cans, some spoons, and a splash of creativity, you can build your own garden sculptures, pieces that entertain the eye, reflect the sun, and breathe life into corners of your garden that might otherwise feel empty. They're proof that recycling can be more than practical. It can be joyful, artistic, and transformative, turning discarded scraps into stories of resilience and wonder. (10) Brick and tire harvest beds. Morning sunlight falls softly across a garden where bricks and painted tires come together to form raised beds full of life. Old materials that once seemed destined for waste are now reborn into cheerful pastel-colored planters, overflowing with lettuce, broccoli, and chili peppers. Pumpkins curl their vines across wooden frames, while cucumbers dangle gracefully in the breeze. Apple trees and lavender fields stand nearby, filling the air with fragrance and turning the garden into a storybook of abundance. Elsewhere, the scene grows more playful. Stacks of bright tires, filled with rich soil, cradle tomatoes, eggplants, and fragrant herbs. Bricks outline each bed neatly, keeping everything in order while marigolds and tulips spill their colors along the borders. Grapevines twist along wooden trellises, and pears and guavas hang ripe in the background. The air feels alive with both beauty and purpose, as though every corner of the garden is eager to give something back. And in a quieter orchard setting, the idea takes on a softer charm. Tires painted in tones of mint, sky blue, and butter yellow are brimming with cabbages, zucchini blossoms, and strawberries. Daisies sway gently in the breeze, while roses offer a splash of romance nearby. Birds call from the trees that surround the beds, and the whole space glows with a feeling of gentle magic. This is not just a garden, it is proof that with a bit of imagination, bricks and tires can be transformed into vessels of beauty, food, and joy. And that's it. 10 ways to transform old bricks and tires into magical harvest beds that bring both food and beauty into your garden. Which design inspired you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because your ideas could spark someone else's creativity. If you found value in this video, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and help us keep this small family project growing. Thank you for being here, and for helping this dream stay alive.